Hi, friends. We are so excited about this conversation with Rosie Nestingen, founder of Rebloom Health, that you're about to listen to. But before we get started, we wanted to note that we recorded this conversation a few weeks ago, before everything unfolding right now in Minnesota. And since then, the news coming out of Minneapolis and across the state has been heartbreaking and frightening to witness. And we know many of you are feeling that weight too. And Minnesota is actually the same place that Rosie calls home. Rosie lives in South Minneapolis, and like so many people there, she and her community are carrying a lot. When we checked in with her this week, she described being in deep mourning with her city, feeling fear and grief, watching her neighbors worry about their futures. And at the same time, she talked about something else too, how connected she feels, how neighbors are showing up for each other, how people are creating real walls of safety and care. And she called it grief and joy, living side by side. So, to our Minnesota listeners and anyone feeling the heaviness of this moment, we're holding you close and we're sending you love. What's happening right now is not okay. And if you want to help, there are organizations that are helping people directly on the ground. Two that we want to highlight are standwithminnesota.com, which is a directory of organizations, mutual aid funds, and relief funds that are helping folks on the ground, and the Women's Foundation of Minnesota, which is an immigrant rapid response fund that is helping with immediate need for rights and resources in targeted immigrant communities in Minnesota. And you can find them at wfmn.org. And with that, we are so excited about today's conversation with Rosie. Her story is full of resilience and community and compassion, and her path to parenthood through learning about her anovulatory infertility, to welcoming her daughter after a long and difficult infertility journey, to facing brain surgery shortly after becoming a mom, and ultimately using all of this experience to help other families with Rebloom Health as they navigate infertility and loss. We can feel Rosie's heart in all of her work, and we are really honored to share that with you. So with that, we hope you enjoy the show, and we're sending you love.
Hi, Rosie. It is so great to officially meet you. And you are calling from Minneapolis. Are you surviving? Like, how is the weather? And
That's a great question. I had my daughter's birthday was yesterday, and so we had friends
I
and family
saw.
over. Yes, she turned 3.
So exciting.
And so we had friends and family over, and my sister-in-law's friend was visiting from Seattle, and she was really excited to share with us that she had made it through the cold weather of Minnesota. And I was like, let's be clear, it's cold right now. It's not actually cold, it's just sort of cold. So
Sort of,
we're making it
yeah.
through. But it is, it's 10 degrees. So, that is cold.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Unreal.
Yeah.
we wouldn't survive, Katie.
Yeah.
No, I had a girlfriend who went to college in Minneapolis, and I went to college in Los Angeles, and so we would often, during phone conversations, she would be telling me about her college had underground tunnels because of how cold it gets. And so she'd be like, hang on, I'm going to lose you. I'm walking through the tunnel right now. And, the whole plugging her car in.
Oh my gosh.
All the things. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
All of it. Yep. That's how we survive in the north, but it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Are you from Minnesota?
I'm not. I'm from North Dakota. I'm from Fargo, which is colder.
Okay. So even colder.
Yeah. So Minneapolis is kind of warm, kind of balmy compared to North Dakota. But I've lived in Minneapolis for 13 years. So this is home now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have some family in Minneapolis.
Do you?
I have not ventured out. I do.
Okay.
I have not ventured out to visit them during the winter months, but I've been there many times in the summer, which is the right time
Good choice.
to be there.
It's beautiful in the summer.
It is. Yeah, that's why people
beautiful.
stay. Yeah, is the summers, push us through after the long winters.
Yeah.
But
it makes you
good.
work for it, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
I feel like we've been trying to do this for a year.
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, life has been happening. But I think it has been a year. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have been trying to get Rosie on the pod. We've been trying to connect and share about Rebloom Health.
Yeah.
And we're just so excited to have you here today to talk about
Yeah.
your story and your journey, but also how you're giving back and what you've created and the future of Rebloom. I'm really excited to hear about all the things that you're doing. But yes, we would love to just open the floor for you. And I know
Yeah.
you've had a lot of different experiences along the infertility
Mhm.
journey and with health. And so, as much as you want to share and feel
Yeah.
comfortable to share, we would love to hear.
Totally. Yeah, a pretty open book, so I will
Yeah,
share it all. But
amazing.
really, where my journey started is that in 2019, my husband and I decided that we wanted to expand our family. And because anything that we'd seen on TV or read about told us the lie that it was going to be quick and easy, we thought we would have a baby by 2020. And
Mm,
when 2020 turned of the calendar year and we really were being more thoughtful, I'll say, about trying to get pregnant. We kind of were out of the let's just see what happens. It's sort of fun. And then in 2020, we were a little more strategic, is the word I think I'll use there. Uh, I just stopped getting my period. I just stopped, like, my period just stopped in February of 2020. And, the first cycle, I was like, wow, okay, that's good. Maybe that's good because maybe I'm pregnant. I should take a test. And
mm,
then it just never came and never came. And that was really confusing because I didn't know what was happening. But the backdrop of that was that it was 2020. And so, the world was starting to shut down and
yeah.
you weren't going to the doctor if you didn't have something relating to COVID. And so I just thought I would wait it out and see what happened. And by the spring of that year, I still hadn't had a regular menstrual cycle. And so I called my OBGYN and we had a virtual appointment. And I'm trying to be as descriptive as I can, as you can over virtual appointments. And at that time, I also was experiencing extreme hair loss, which was not helping my mental health.
Mm,
And I was trying to put together the pieces, like, I'm like, something is going on, and I know that they must be connected. And, every doctor that I would see was like, no, they're totally separate. And so it was just this journey to try to just uncover basically these different pieces of my health. Um, and then over the summer, I ended up doing some of the routine testing to just try to uncover what was going on. So that was like the HSG test, the vaginal ultrasounds, like any test they could throw at me, basically I did. And so ultimately they referred me into a fertility clinic. And so I had a virtual appointment with my husband. That was the first like appointment that he joined at the fertility clinic. And they told me to come in for the baseline ultrasound and just to prepare for doing fertility treatments. And at that first appointment that I went to, which was in December of 2020, I found out that I was pregnant. And so that was, sort of the dream, right? You walk into a
wow.
fertility clinic and you're thinking that you're going to have this journey, whatever it looks like. And in the
Mm,
first 10 minutes of my appointment, I found out I was expecting. And so I got to leave with an ultrasound and some really good news. And I just think of that time at the end of 2020 with so much just respect and joy for holding that moment of being so excited and just having truly the secret that we were keeping from everybody because it was still COVID times. We weren't really seeing people and we just had that time together, my husband, myself, and our dog. And, everything was textbook and routine, and there were no signs that anything was wrong, and at our 20-week appointment, we learned that basically everything was wrong and that we would lose our pregnancy. And so that was in
mm,
April of 2021, and, the grief that is associated with that process of just even the up and down of you're going to fertility clinic, no, you're pregnant, and then having this pregnancy end at 22 weeks was really challenging to navigate. And
yeah.
on top of that, I hadn't told many people that I was even expecting because you see me from the, chest up. And so I didn't have to. And so I hadn't told my coworkers, I hadn't told my team. And so I found that I was not only updating people that I was pregnant, like, and then also in the same sentence saying, "And I lost the baby." And so now I'm going on bereavement leave. And I don't really even know what that means. I didn't really know bereavement leave existed. I think I get a few weeks off, like it all just was an unlearning and a relearning of this moment that I was in.
Mhm.
And what followed that, because of the loss that we had, my husband and I did a lot of genetic testing to understand if this was something that would happen and would keep happening if we continued to have pregnancies in the future.
Mhm.
And so you have to send away for that testing, and it took quite a bit of time. It took like 4 or 5 months. And so we just were in this waiting period of like, don't get pregnant because you don't know basically if you're carriers for these different genetic mutations or not. Cross your fingers that you're not, and we'll let you know when we find out anything. And so that
Wow.
summer was a summer of deep grief for me. When I look back on that time, I often think of number one, how the people who are closest to me and who love me the most just truly tried to show up in the best way that they could, but they also didn't know what to do or what to say. They were maybe kind of over their depth and in understanding like what I was going through. And at that time, I had six of my closest girlfriends, and I'm talking like people who were in our wedding. So like my bridesmaids and my personal attendant and like people who were that close. Six of my closest girlfriends delivered seven healthy babies between the time I had my loss and then the my would have been due date. And so
Yeah.
I knew that I needed support to navigate not only my own grief, but also just walking alongside my friends in their joy. And transparently and honestly with this group, and I guess whoever is listening, like anytime I see one of their babies who are now 4, I of course think of my own who would be that same age and who is not. And so I knew that I needed some therapy. I should have probably taken some medication, and I didn't, and I should have. And if I could go back, I would have reminded myself that that could have supported me and would have been okay. But it was just incredibly challenging to navigate that. I felt like I was in a silo and I didn't know anybody who'd navigated it before. And now I know that that's untrue, but in that
Right.
moment, it just felt so isolating. So after that, we got the genetic testing back, and neither my husband and I were carriers for any genetic mutation. It was simply just a fluke that the loss happened, which was good news for future pregnancies, but frustrating to hear because it was inconclusive. And then what followed that was 6 months of my husband and I strategically trying to get pregnant. And I was doing anything and everything I could to control basically my body and doing every single medical and herbal and anything I could get my hands on, I was
Mhm.
doing. And the challenge that I've run into is my body doesn't consistently ovulate.
Mhm.
And when it does ovulate, doesn't like it, on an ovulation strip, it might say, yep, you're ovulating, but that might not be accurate. And
Mm.
so I actually get blood work done. And during that time was getting blood work done multiple times in a month to see what my levels would be like, which would dictate like when we would time intercourse and when we would, time different medications I would take.
Hmm.
And on the last month of that cycle, so my OB said we can do this for 6 months, and then like 6 months is the maximum. And then I'm really going to recommend that you go to a fertility clinic. And at the end of that 6 months, I had a cycle where it looked like I didn't ovulate. And so my OBGYN, who's now my friend at this point, because we've kind of been through everything together,
Yeah.
she said, okay, I'm going to, next cycle, go to the fertility clinic.
Yeah.
And then because you didn't ovulate. And
Oh.
then I just never got my period. And I was getting acupuncture, and I was asking my acupuncturist, like, what should I do? Like, I think I have to go to a fertility clinic, and that might be the next step. And she said, You should take a pregnancy test and just see, and then call them." And I took a pregnancy test, and it was positive, and that is my daughter, who just turned 3. But
What?
the truly like miracle, and also like how the F did this happen? Because I didn't ovulate. So like it's like
Oh,
both. It's
Well,
like and my
yes,
and I did at some point, but
you
like
must
according to
have.
my blood work, right? Like I did, but yeah, it's just kind of It's wild. It's truly wild. And so my daughter was born in December of 2022. So she just had her birthday
Wow.
yesterday. She just turned 3.
Yay.
And
Happy
she's the
birthday.
best. And yeah, thank you. And she is the greatest. My pregnancy with her was really hard. I had everything
Yeah.
you like never want to have. I had COVID in like really early pregnancy, and it was 2020. And so they're like, we don't know. She might have 6 fingers. Like, it was
Oh
crazy.
my gosh. Yeah.
And then I had gestational diabetes, and then I had hypertension, and then she was
Wow.
breech, and so she wouldn't flip. So I was doing all of these
Wow.
like acrobatics basically to try to get her to flip, and she never did. And but I loved it. I was just like, I'm so happy to be pregnant. This is crazy because I'm doing all these things to just manage my health with her, and just also feeling really grateful for it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm just taking a beat to kind of acknowledge the gratitude for that
Yeah, it's incredible.
moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
After so much loss and just turmoil and
Yeah,
what
yeah.
were you gonna say, Katie?
Yeah, I'm struggling because Rosie, you're such a wonderful storyteller. I like have like I'm like clocking all of these questions of like, oh, I want
Oh,
to like ask that, but I'm like, oh, but I'm so like just entranced by this story and just what you've been
oh,
through.
thank you.
And I know that you have a lot more to share, so I want you to
Yeah.
continue.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
before you move on to the next part,
Yeah.
I am curious, was the OB that you saw the same OB that you originally, like, you got pregnant and then your cycle came back? Like, did they ever
Mhm.
have any,
Mhm.
like, what was
Mhm.
their,
Good
Good
question.
question.
yeah, like, I guess
Do
I'm
we
just
know
like,
anything about women's
do we
bodies?
know
I don't know.
anything?
It's all a guess. Flip a coin.
Good question.
So I changed healthcare systems. So the first healthcare
Okay.
system with my first pregnancy, that was the loss at 22 weeks.
Mhm.
When I think back on that experience and working with that group of OBs and in that practice, I didn't appreciate how they weren't as thorough as I had hoped they
Yeah.
would have been. And more than anything, I learned that this is not standard across the board, but when I was 12 weeks pregnant, I was tested for a lot of drugs, which I've never done any drugs at all. And they said, "Oh, this is routine, like this is super normal." But it was like meth and PCP and marijuana and like all, and I was like, "I've never done any of this at all. So I don't
Huh.
know why you're testing me for it." And I just didn't learn, after learning later that that actually isn't the norm, and there maybe was just bias associated with it.
Mhm.
I was like, I'm going to go to a different system.
Yeah.
So
Good for
Yeah.
you.
that
Yeah.
system is what it is, not for
Okay.
me, but the system that I have gone to and have delivered my daughter through and go to currently is much better.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to,
Good question.
wow. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Okay. Okay, so my daughter, so she was born December 7th, 22. And then when she was 40 days old, I got laid off. And so that was not ideal because it really interrupted my, this like sacred window of time with
Yeah.
her and being so little and a newborn. So when I think of my postpartum experience, like that comes up first because it was just so present. I'm grateful that I had a good postpartum experience from like a physical and emotional standpoint. I felt really level, but I was like on LinkedIn during overnight feeds. That part wasn't great, but like the mental health
Yeah.
piece was good. Um, and
It's
then
crazy
when
what
my
you have to
daughter,
juggle like that.
right? Yes. Yeah. All of it. I mean,
Yeah.
like the wildest part I thought was I was breastfeeding my daughter and I was negotiating a severance, like with my earbuds in. And I'm like, this is actually a book probably I should write. But
Yep.
it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just gonna just
yeah.
reiterate that. That's
Yeah.
like, yeah, that your life can just take such swings like that, and when this is
I
the
know.
most important thing
Yeah.
that that you need to be involved in, that you are, and that your body and your mind are in, and then
Mm-hmm.
these like existential
Mm-hmm.
things just kind
Yeah.
of they
Yeah.
never, they can just crop up, and it's just what
Right.
I don't know. Why does our system it's
I
like
know.
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
like
frustrating.
shocking, but also
Yeah.
not. Like it's
Not.
not
Mhm.
Yeah.
surprising, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate.
Which is too
Which is
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm with
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
So when my daughter was 9 months old, I experienced another loss. So I found out I was pregnant, and then a couple of weeks later, it ended up being a miscarriage. And so I was about like 7 weeks along based on my own
Oh,
calculations from that. And so that was at the
Mm.
end of 2023. Um, and really, in both of
that's-
those experiences of loss, I just felt like there wasn't enough support around me, the person navigating the loss. Like, I didn't feel like I had enough information. And I really loved the care and the people that were caring for me and the system that was. I didn't love the system, but I love the people within that system that were caring
yeah,
for me.
Mm.
And I still felt like I didn't have the resources that I wanted or needed. I felt like a lot of
Mm.
it was just sort of, just see what happens. And that has never
yeah.
sat right with me.
Hmm.
But currently so that was all in 2023. And then in 2024, I had a different medical issue, which was I had a brain aneurysm rupture. And so I had emergent
Wow.
brain surgery.
Oh,
And
I think,
so I'm yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm 1 year out from that, like almost to the day. And so this last year has really just been focused on my own health and my own rest. I when I had my brain aneurysm, my husband and I were in the thick of trying to get pregnant and doing different letrozole cycles and getting blood work done. And then this happened, and we took a little pause from it. And I am someone who is learning not to be an achiever mindset. And
mm,
so even, like the spring when I was starting to feel like I had more of my regular energy post brain surgery, I was like, let's do a few more cycles and let's see. And there was nothing, which I think was my body protecting myself from itself and just saying, like, girl, you need to calm down and rest. Like, your body
yeah,
needs a little bit of a break. And
yeah.
so I just took that as a sign, and we did a few cycles of it and nothing happened. And so I just said out loud to my husband, and he was encouraging of this even prior to me saying it. I was like, I think I just need to rest and enjoy the summer and kind of not put this pressure, this stress on myself. And he was like, yeah, that would be good. I agree with that. I think you should do it. And so in this moment, formally, I'm navigating secondary infertility. We have not had a pregnancy since the positive pregnancy test at the end of 2023 that ended in a loss.
Yeah.
But in 2026, we're planning to do two things to hopefully grow our family. We are starting IVF, which we're excited about, eager about. I don't know what the right
Mm,
language is quite yet. I'm still working through that. And we are looking to adopt. That's always been something that's been on our hearts
mm.
and minds. I'm an adoptee, so it feels very connected for me, but we hope to grow our family in both ways. So that's a
Wow.
little bit about me. Yeah.
Rosie, it's incredible what you have endured and just also
Yeah.
the smile on your face and the hope
Mm.
Thank you.
and resilience that you can hear in your voice and how you tell it. Like,
Mhm.
I can only imagine that each of these chapters of what would be uh, a really, um, a really amazing book to write one day that you should
Yeah,
write.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But
Rosie is a
yeah.
writer. We
Oh,
should note
yes.
that
Yes,
as
yeah,
well.
okay.
Yes, she is.
Okay. Well, then once that story comes out, Rosie, you're going to do a book launch with
Yes,
us. But
absolutely. Done.
I was going to say I was going to say that each of these chapters, I mean, I'm sure were incredibly just difficult and hard to get through and like
Mhm,
quicksand. And
mhm,
I don't want to overshadow any of that, but also just acknowledge
mhm,
like where I'm hearing from your voice is just this hopefulness about where what your future entails and your
mhm,
conviction for your family. And so
mhm.
you're just clearly such a
Okay, good.
resilient, incredible woman. And thank
Thank
you for
you.
sharing all of that. I mean, and I also want to take a moment to say just how I'm sorry. We're sorry for all this pain and
Mm,
loss that you've gone through. And
thank you,
I
Amy.
feel like sometimes when we get to this point where we're looking back, we're like, here's all the things and here's I'm still going forward.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah,
like just
yeah,
to acknowledge what you have been through. It's just like
yeah.
an incredible incredibly sad and also and difficult journey. So,
Mm.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you.
I have so many questions too. Rosie, wow. So, I guess maybe to start, you talked about kind of as you were going through this process, like the ping ponging
Hmm.
between care teams
Yeah.
and trying to find answers and what your next step was. And you also mentioned holding joy for a moment with your first pregnancy, which I really connected to when you said that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the gratitude you had for the fact that you were able to do that for a second. Can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
what that means to you now,
Mm.
Mm.
having taken a minute for it?
Yeah. I think, in the last, it's been 7 years really that my husband and I have been navigating this space. And I think what I've learned the most and what I have to remind myself of constantly is that it's always joy and grief and everything in between. And it doesn't seem
Mm,
like any of those things are really separate. Um, because I mean, my daughter turned 3 yesterday and it was an incredible day. And, my husband and I think about, our gratitude and how excited we are to be parenting her and all of that. And there's still this moment of like, oh, and we would have also had a 4-year-old.
yeah.
Mm.
It's like right there. And I don't think
Hmm.
that ever goes away. And I'm learning to, this part makes me a little emotional, but I'm learning to find joy in the fact that it's so close, even though it hurts. Like it's like, ooh, the grief is there. And
Mm.
I'm learning to like love it and appreciate
Um,
it because um it mattered.
Yeah.
And that saying that and feeling that and like genuinely meaning that has taken years to get to that moment. And I'm sure that it will continue to change and shape my life. Like I don't think that that's just how it will always be. I think grief changes as you change. And in this moment I have some joy for it. Yeah.
that's so
Wow.
beautiful.
Thank
Yeah, that I feel like that's like where we all hope to get, and it's also just like so I don't know. I think I'm thinking about how loss I feel like is an often overlooked part of the
Mhm.
infertility
Hmm.
journey because
Mhm.
people are so excited for you once you finally do get pregnant and have a healthy birth.
Yeah.
And so on the outside, it's kind of like, oh, you overcame, like you're now on the other side,
Yeah.
but you still have those losses as part
Mhm.
of your story. And
Mhm.
that grief, like you said, like still remains. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a really just important note that yeah, it'll always be there, but it sounds like it's it takes on new shapes as
Mhm.
you continue,
Mhm.
and I think
Mhm.
that's really,
Mhm.
really beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it takes on new shapes, and I think it shows up in different ways, like
Mhm.
the way that the loss affects me, and what
Yeah.
I mean by that is I feel like I've talked about it so much in even the last year compared to even the last 4 years, and the loss happened 4 years ago. The first year I didn't talk about it at all.
Mm.
I would run into people and they would have no idea that I had been pregnant, had a loss, was in deep grief. They had no idea, and I wouldn't mention
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And that almost was harder because it was like I'm keeping this horrible secret, like where
Yeah.
I'm in this deep grief and I don't feel like I can share it with you because I don't know how. I almost don't know how. Because I'd never really heard anybody talk about it, because I've never really heard anybody in my circle talk
Hmm.
about infertility or
Mm.
really just hold space for like all of it. And
Mhm.
so in this
Yeah.
moment it's almost like, oh, it has just felt like weight is lifted to be able to step into it and talk about it and not feel shame about it, which is a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
real emotion that a lot of people feel around miscarriage and loss. there's
Mhm.
no validity to it, but that's been my experience and others I've talked to. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
even like that shape, the shape of it in that way of like holding it
Mhm.
and keeping it here versus like sharing it out
Yeah.
and connecting with others who've had this experience, or just even almost like educating other people that maybe haven't had that experience but are inevitably caring for somebody who has, or have a friend or a coworker, whomever. And that has
Yeah.
felt incredibly good.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
uh I hear you say sort of maybe some of the things that were holding you back from sharing
Mm.
originally, and I
Yeah.
actually I wanted to also note something I clocked is, you said with your first pregnancy, no one knew, no one in your
Yeah.
circle knew, and I think
Yeah.
that's just so common for so
Yeah.
many of us, especially
Yes.
in the early days of trying, where
Uh-huh.
it's very
Uh-huh.
hush hush and it's just supposed to work, right? So it's just this magical thing that just works, and everybody, you could get pregnant just looking at each other, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
supposed to be so careful, and so
Right.
there's all this like stigma and mysticism around
Mm.
Mhm.
family building and
Yeah.
having babies, and so many of us, I mean, same, like first pregnancy
Mhm.
didn't really tell anybody. I remember we told a handful of people, but I had another girlfriend who with her pregnancy she told people early, and she made it kind of a point to us. She had had a loss prior, and she said, going forward need support no matter what
Yeah.
happens, and that's something that really
Yeah.
stuck with me. And I kind of wondered from your journey, what was your frame of mind then? And how is it obviously has changed, and now you're
Mhm.
speaking
Mhm.
so much more openly and sharing, and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and are providing support to so many as well, as I hope getting support back.
Mhm.
How has
Mhm.
that kind of shifted? Where did you start from?
Mhm. Yeah, with my first pregnancy, I honestly didn't think about telling people because we were in such a isolated moment and it felt so
Mm,
easy to just keep it. And it was almost like, I don't know, magical is too annoying of a word maybe, but it
yeah,
was like it was kind of romantic, or it was just like the two of us only knew, and it was just like our little bundle and little secret. And so there was something really
yeah,
special about that.
It feels really sacred to like
Yeah.
keep
Yeah, it's
that.
really sacred. Yeah, and to just have that with each other, and after having just a hard year of it. And so in that moment I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't want to tell anybody because this feels really good to just like have us know."
Yeah.
And then, once we started sharing with more and more people, we, felt their joy as well. So that was really exciting. And then with my second pregnancy, which was my daughter, who is 3, um I didn't tell anybody until I was like, I mean, people knew I was pregnant because I was 30 weeks walking around, and they didn't say anything and were polite.
Wow.
And I would say, and by the way, I would mention like I'm pregnant, and they're like, yeah, we can tell, we are aware. We're like, staring at you. So I really, I just really waited. I did tell a few close friends earlier on and just said,
Yeah.
I need you to check in. I need you to think of me. I need you to pray for me. I need you to do whatever you need to do to like support me because I'm horrified. I'm really scared.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that was a pretty close, tight knit group that was getting those updates.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, I struggled to feel like it was real until my daughter was born,
Mm.
until I was literally holding her in my arms. And even as I held her, my OBGYN, who has seen me through all of it and was the one who delivered her, she's like, "Can you see her? Are you okay?" Because I just like was not talking. And
Yeah.
I said, "I'm in shock. I'm completely in shock that this moment is happening and that I'm like holding
Mm.
her." And so it
Yeah.
really took me a few weeks to believe it after she was
Mm.
born. And
Mhm.
and then it took even, I'd say a few weeks after that to really find joy in it and believe, because the journey had been rough. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
being hopeful going forward, I think my hope is to invite people in and ask them to hold the space for me for whatever happens next. That's the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and this is a great transition to Rebloom because that's a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the work
Yeah.
that you do and what you've created.
Yeah.
So do you want to
Yeah.
share a bit about that? Yeah.
I co-founded a company called Rebloom Health. Our goal is to support those navigating infertility, pregnancy loss, and adoption journeys. But the hope is really that we not only support the person navigating that, but we support their existing community. So we're building an app, and the goal would be that after you hear hard news, that your OBGYN or your fertility clinic would give you Rebloom so that you would have vetted information from doctors, from OBGYNs, from reproductive endocrinologists that live right in your pocket that you have access to instead of going on Reddit threads or on Facebook groups and like finding information. So you not only have educational resources, but you have scripts that you can use with your employer as far as, do I have bereavement leave access? Here's what it looks like for my schedule over the next few weeks as I'm navigating IVF. What availability from an HR standpoint would I have? And just like helping coach you through it, because one of the hardest things of the experience, I think, is not only is the experience itself devastating and frustrating and everything in between, but then you have to like deal with insurance, you have to deal with your employer, and you
Admin.
have to, and admin,
Yeah.
like, and it's like, I just can't even, my brain can't think of writing another email and like what I need to include and make sure it's legal. And so we're trying to take the guesswork out of it for you, for the person who's grieving and or navigating this loss. But then for
Mm.
their supporter, they walk alongside you. That's the goal, that they are really your existing community and you don't have to find community on a private Facebook group with anonymous names, that your
Mm.
existing community can get education alongside you. If you're navigating a loss, they can understand what it means, what you're going through. They can
Mm.
understand what checking in looks like, and even scripts that they can send and text you, or ways that they can check in, ways that they can show up. And I will also say, most importantly, has what not to say and
Mm.
I
when
love
not to
that.
say it. And just
Yeah.
acting is really a guide to wrap your arms around the person who is navigating this, and leaning into it instead of leaning out is really what our goal is with Rebloom.
Mm. Wow.
It's
That's
so
so,
good, and it's
so
so
good.
needed.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it just how many conversations have we all had about just
I know.
the late like the emotional labor and the mental
Yes.
labor that comes with having to coach those around you,
Yes.
Yeah.
and yeah, just such an amazing resource and
Thank
tool.
you.
And is it currently operating? Like, can people
Yes, good
currently use
question.
it?
Good question. So we are a early stage startup. So we are currently
Yeah.
building a
Got it.
prototype, which is super exciting. We have a few partnerships with local universities here in Minnesota, as well as some different healthcare systems to do some research on the lost care space. So we're not
Mhm.
only just building the platform, but we're also building research that goes alongside of it so that we can understand how we can continue to make women's health better. I mean, that's the goal.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
but the app itself is not available yet, but we're taking email addresses so that we can send you updates as we go, get people into the beta as we have the MVP ready for people, because we would love to get feedback and understand
Mhm.
what we're missing or what we should add, or what isn't included that we'd love to see for both the griever and the supporter. So
Mhm.
that's really the moment that we're in this moment. And then early 26 will be similar as we built, and hopefully we'll
Yeah.
launch by the end of 2026. So it'll be kind of,
Ugh.
we're building alongside us as we iterate.
This is so incredible,
Yeah.
Rosie.
Thank you.
I have just such a affinity for the places where technology can support us better
Yeah.
through our experiences and
Yeah.
through reproductive health care, through parenting, through the infertility
Yes.
journey at large. I'm curious what led you guys to think about an app as the solution here, and like what was
Yeah.
missing for you in your own
Yeah.
journey. You kind of talked already about, limited folks who understood what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
limited
Mm-hmm.
community, limited support. Is this directly kind of coming from things you wish you had at the time, or
Mm-hmm.
how are,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
guess, what was the inspiration for this as the
Yeah.
medium?
Yeah. So When I navigated both of my losses, so they were a couple of years apart, I went to the same healthcare system. And by the time I had my second loss, I had a great relationship with my OBGYN. And so I felt like I knew what to expect. And still, both losses were very different from a recovery
Mm.
standpoint, from a mental health standpoint. And I heard hard news and I got a piece of paper with like 3 books on it and like a few websites and like a few bullet points around what I might be feeling. And both times I thought, this is ridiculous. I need more information than this. And I'm like
Yeah.
up at night Googling what's happening to my body because I didn't know. And even after my second loss, my OBGYN was like, you can just, she said, just text me if you need anything. Like, I know that's not a
Wow.
realistic response for me to share with everybody, but
Yeah. Sure.
like text me if you need anything. And I was so fueled by that because I just thought I'm a person that has an immense amount of privilege and access, and
Mm.
I still feel like I don't have enough information. And so I'm
Mhm.
thinking of people that have different levels of privilege and access. I'm thinking about people that have different types of jobs where you can't just jump on a quick call in the middle of the day and try to get more, like there's
Yeah.
so many opportunities and ways where I felt like this is hard for me and this is what my lived experience is. And
Mhm.
I have my OBGYN's phone number and I can text her and it still feels hard. And
Yeah.
so I was kind of ruminating on this for a while. And then my co founder and I met a long time ago. Long story really short. We got married in the same year. We went to a bridal photo shoot at the of real brides that had gotten married. And we'd
Oh,
realized at this, yeah, we were real brides. And
wow.
we'd realized that we had the same wedding dress. So that's how we met. Like,
What a fun
yeah,
story.
a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Very cute
And
meet
then
cute.
yeah, exactly. And then when I got laid off over my maternity leave, I was job hunting and she was at the consulting firm that I was interested in. And so we ended up getting a lunch and it got pushed back a few times because she had a miscarriage and she shared that with me because I'd been a little bit more vocal. And so I ended up talking to her a lot more about miscarriage and loss than I would a normal networking contact. And so by the time we met for lunch, we didn't really talk about this job at all. We talked about like we need to build this business because there's nothing in this space. And so that's really
Yeah.
what prompted it was like I knew what my experience was, I knew what hers was. We started talking to people and time and time again just heard how there's such a lack of information for the person navigating this space. And then there's not even any thought put into the caregiver or the support. And
Mhm.
so we just decided to build
Yeah.
something that we think needs to exist. And we're
Yeah.
really encouraged by the feedback we've gotten so far.
Ugh,
Mm. I
Yeah.
love
Rosie,
that you
amazing.
bring
Thank
up the
you.
caregiver too. I think that's
Yeah.
such an interesting because we don't really, as the people going through the
Yeah.
fertility treatments or going through infertility, experiencing loss, it's not something we've talked about really on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast before at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a caregiver in different senses for family members as they've navigated other medical
Right.
diagnoses, but this idea of offering support for
Mm-hmm.
caregivers or for partners or for friends, for
Mm-hmm.
parents, I think
Yeah.
that's a big one, right? Like parents
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
children who are experiencing infertility. I think it's just a
Mm-hmm.
really amazing resource and something that can help so many people. So
Thank you.
really, really excited to see
Yeah.
Yeah.
what comes of this.
Yeah, yeah, we're on pins and needles ourselves, and we're
Oh
building it,
yeah.
so, yeah,
Yes.
we're very
Yeah.
excited.
Okay. Well, you're launching a business, you're navigating
Yes,
secondary infertility,
yes,
you're starting IVF adoption.
yeah.
One thing I am curious about because I haven't had the chance to talk with somebody who has walked the road of secondary infertility. I think one of the things that if I can just be honest with you, like I'm
Yeah,
terrified to start trying
yeah,
again in the future because just yeah, I feel like there's like a lot it's a very different road, it feels like,
mhm,
when you're trying to give your child a sibling.
mhm,
But I'm also curious about how it's been as a mom navigating fertility treatments, trying to balance the grief that comes with trying and getting those negative pregnancy tests, but then having to go and parent and go do
Mhm.
bedtime routine,
Mhm.
or go and do a business meeting
Yeah.
for,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
so many things it feels like you're holding space for and balancing, and I'm
Mhm.
really curious how that's going.
Hmm. You know, the thing that I keep coming back to, and this is my achiever mindset
Yeah.
that I'm trying to rewire in my brain, is I keep thinking, "You've done this before. You can do it." Like,
Mm,
to myself. And that on repeat is not helpful, but that's where my head goes. And so I'm like, "I don't understand how my body hasn't figured this out." And
yeah.
that's
Oh
being a
my,
harsh critic. That's being a harsh critic of myself, but that is
I
where my
feel
brain that's where my head is. That's where I go. And I think, the layer that I brace myself for often hasn't happened yet, and I think my daughter knows it would break my heart, I think, if she said it, but, like, she hasn't asked for a sibling.
Mm,
She has she has both my brother and my husband's brother both have 2 daughters, and
yeah.
they're all younger than my daughter, and
Okay.
so she sees her cousins having siblings, and I can just sort of see her wheels turning. I'm like, "Wait, how," like, she doesn't quite get it, and yet she's never asked us about it because I think she knows on some level that that would be hard to hear
Mm,
because it's like, again, we're trying to figure it out. I think it's just all layered, and I think that the part that I try to keep bringing myself back to is because infertility takes so much of my brain space, it's like it can take up some space, but I also need to reserve space for her because that's what it's all about. And
mm,
I haven't found the right mix of that, right? Like I don't know what the balance is there, but I know that in moments where I'm feeling really down or defeated by this infertility experience, if I'm letting that carry into how I'm sitting and playing with her, I'm, like, grumpy about it, then, like, what am I doing this for?
mm.
Like, I have to come back to myself and kind of remind myself of it. Those are, like, the honest thoughts. I don't have a solution because I'm in it, but
No,
that's kinda where I'm at.
it's really helpful to hear because I think, yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of that doesn't resonate with the, like, we're not trying to have a second child right now, but, like, the being in the space where you're
Yeah.
constantly talking about
Yes.
infertility still, or, like, you're
Yeah.
launching this business, we're doing
Yeah.
this podcast, and so
Yeah.
my mind is always with the IVF infertility community, but then I'm also, like, giving my daughter a bottle, and I'm like, "Wait, but this is what it's like, take your
Yeah.
mind off the
Yeah.
business, off the achieving, off of, like, the
Yeah.
when are we gonna try again? Like, when do we
Right.
need to do," we just renewed our benefits for 2026, and we're already
Right.
thinking, like, "How do we make sure we have IVF covered?" But
Right.
then, like,
mm,
reminding myself, like, "Why are we doing this? Oh, we did this for
Right.
her."
Right.
Creating
Right.
those, like, special moments where none of that else is, yeah. Anyway,
Mhm.
just a lot to think about as
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
explaining it.
It is. It is. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think women are just incredible. The fact that you can hold
Yes.
all of these
Yes.
things
Yes.
at the same
Yes.
time. So, what I wanted to echo that I'm hearing from both of you too is this like fear or kind of guilt of not living it up in this thing that you've worked so hard to get to. But then this like drive to make the overall, like to use your experience for good
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
your future and others'
Mhm.
futures. And so I think that wow, you women are just incredible to be able to hold all of that
Yeah.
together. But I don't want to minimize like this is something Katie and I talk or I tell Katie all the time is like
Yeah.
go rest and be with your kid, don't have to
Mm.
worry about this other thing that's over here. But then of course you have the
Yeah.
drive to like go improve that thing that you've just been through.
Right.
And so it's really interesting to hear you both talk about that as a challenge. But I
Yeah.
resonate with it as well of like how do you keep moving the ball forward there
Mhm.
while not
Mhm.
missing it? Don't miss
Mhm.
what's currently
Yeah.
in front of you. Don't
Mhm.
miss your life that's
Mhm.
currently here. Like,
Mhm.
even without kids, I think those of us with infertility, who don't have the baby yet, I also feel that too of like, is this my just
Yeah.
whole life here?
Yeah.
What about
Yes.
this over here? What about this
Yeah.
partner of mine? What about these friends
Yeah.
of mine? What about this life that's bigger than
Yeah.
this part? But
Yeah.
Mhm.
but how do you have it?
Mhm.
How do you
Mhm.
balance so that it doesn't take up all the oxygen in the
Mhm.
room?
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
Mhm. And I would add, I think, so with my experience outside of infertility, but with brain surgery, and something that I've really tried to reframe for myself is not necessarily just like reframing like the infertility or just like not having it take up all my brain space all the time. But, my daughter is one piece of it. And there certainly was a lot of work and like blood, sweat, tears, literally, that went into like
Mhm.
her and having her. And it's also like, how do I like have space just for myself and not just like Rosie infertility,
Yeah.
just Rosie. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
miss it. I don't want to miss all of
Yeah.
it. And I think it's hard to separate, like, when I think of like our infertility journey and it's spanning over 7 years, it's like always there in the background. And also, sometimes it's more in the forefront and sometimes it's like not present at all. And I just, like, I've been doing a lot of thinking about, like, if how present I want it to actually be in my day to day, and
Mm.
just being really cognizant of, like, yeah, I am navigating infertility, and secondary infertility, and this sucks. And, like, stay
Mhm.
present for, like, the moment you're
Yeah.
in. And I don't wanna say have gratitude for it because I don't know that I'm there yet. I think a wiser person maybe
Yeah.
would say that with conviction. I can't quite yet, but, like,
Mm.
just being present at the moment that you're in and finding comfort or being content with that.
Yeah.
Something
Well,
I'm working
I
can we
on.
talk about that real quick too? The brain
Sure.
surgery and
Oh, yeah, that.
having
Yes.
to also, I mean,
Wait,
talk about
I wanna read the quote. I wanna read the
okay.
quote because
Oh,
there's
sure, sure.
the famous quote is, right, "Infertility is harder than brain surgery."
Yeah.
And that is just I feel like that's the tagline for your memoir.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
okay, Amy, you can ask your question now.
Well, let's not brush over that fact. So, just like to say that, but I can hear it in your voice, Rosie, that like your life experience has given you a certain amount of perspective in the
Mm,
greater whole. Help us understand, like, you talk about gratitude for these experiences as well, and in a way that
Mm,
just is such a challenge for me that I'm just
mhm.
trying to
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
do myself. Looking back on that experience, I mean, how do you keep going through that and find kind of the perspective, and how is that kind of helping you, or how is it impacting you now in your secondary infertility and road to adoption as well? Like, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
infiltrating and how you think about those things as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, brain surgery is really hard, and
Yeah.
recovery from brain surgery is really hard. And I am in like a very low percentage of people that have recovered fully from it. And so I like
wow.
fully
It's
recognize
incredible.
that and have a lot of gratitude for it. And what has been different though about like brain surgery compared to infertility, and why I think in my lived experience, brain surgery was easier than infertility,
Mhm,
is because with brain surgery, people hear about, oh, I had emergent brain surgery, and they put their arms out and they wrap their arms around you and they
mhm.
like bring you flowers and they bring you food and then they check in and then they talk about it a lot. And then they're very much like lifting you up and like
Mm,
supporting you in every single way that they know how. And when you talk about pregnancy loss or infertility for 7 years, people retreat. They don't
yeah.
say anything. There's no, like, raise arms up, "How can we help support you?" It's, like, slowly putting your hand out to maybe support, but not really knowing how, and then not
Yeah.
wanting to say something wrong, and so not saying anything at all. And so for me, it's like, well, yeah, the last year I felt so showered by love with friends and family and everybody in between. And you sort of just like mention brain surgery, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop everything and help you do whatever you need.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I mean, the brain surgery part is hard and I'm recovering, but I'm recovering. Like I am on the mend and I am doing well. And the infertility part is like still here and it's been here. And that part, that like kind of just chipping away every single month, is the part that's, I think, hard. I think it's,
Mm.
with brain surgery, really plainly, I mean, I had to face my own mortality because brain aneurysms, when they happen, are not great. That's a brain bleed. But with infertility, it's like you have to face your own reality that this is your life every day. And you have to keep hoping and you have to keep going and you have to keep trying. And those are all conscious decisions that you have to make. And that is like heartbreakingly hard every day.
Well, and I would imagine too, with the brain aneurysm and the surgery, you have a medical team that has a plan. They
Yeah.
say, this is what we're going to
Yeah.
do. This is how we're going to
Yeah.
fix this. These are what
Yeah.
your odds are.
Yeah.
Whereas with
Mm.
infertility, it's like, we don't know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could be one of
Unexplained.
a million things.
Yeah.
You could get another baby, maybe not.
Yes.
We don't know,
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that can be more difficult, especially for those of us who need control and like want to know what's
Mhm.
the plan.
Mhm.
It can be easier to
Mhm.
go through something where it's like, I know what to do and I have a team that's supporting me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Mhm.
does it also change like your perspective on yourself to know like you just went through that? Like on the one hand,
Yeah.
I would feel like, man, you're a superwoman. You could get through anything. You got through a brain aneurysm. You got
Yeah. Okay,
through
good.
brain
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You
should.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
you're beat the odds. Like, I mean, on the one hand, you could feel
Yeah.
like that, I'm strong. I could do this. And then on the other hand, I can't help but think like, what the heck? Like, still again? Why do I have more
Like, yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Why?
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
haven't I lived enough? Like, so please tell me, Rosie,
Yeah.
how have you figured? How do you get through that? Because I have not had a brain aneurysm, but I do think
Yeah.
about this in my
Yeah.
own life of like, to be frank, like, seriously? Like more? Like more?
Yeah.
And is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
just life? I do struggle with that. Is that just life? It's just, you just kind of you know, you are dealt
Mm.
certain hands at different times in your life. And sometimes I have a friend who just recently said like, if, it's so unfair that you have to go through this. And to me, I heard that and was like, I don't know how to respond to that. Like, it's unfair that anyone
Mm.
has to go through anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how do you think about it?
Yeah. I think, I mean, honestly, I think there definitely are days where I'm just like, man, this has been rough. Like, I just wish there
Yeah.
was like one easy button in the season of life, and that would be great. And I think, honestly, like, and when I feel that the most is probably when I'm like on Instagram too much and someone has posted a
Mm,
fake picture of their fake family doing fake amazing, and you're like,
mm,
how was that so easy
Yeah.
for you? That is
yeah.
like good for you, and I need to retreat. But
Yeah.
it's I mean, it's not easy. It's hard because it's frustrating when
Mm.
um it seems like some paths are just so straight and follow
Mm.
exactly kind of the fairy tale path that's let out. And then my path has just been like, oh my gosh, what tide are we
What's
gonna
next?
right, what is it gonna happen next?
She's for the
I
listener,
I don't
it's a
know.
roller coaster with lots
Yeah,
of
roller
twists.
coaster. Yes, twists and turns, ways. Yeah, oh yeah, sorry. I forget. Um yeah, I mean, I would be nuts to not acknowledge that that is a real feeling because it is real. And
Mm.
I think the silver lining maybe of having a brain aneurysm, brain surgery, and something so drastic happen is that I instantly had clarity around things that mattered
Mm,
and things that didn't. And I
wow.
feel very grateful. I mean, that's just been a through line from the very beginning of just like the recognition and the gratitude that I have. And I also think it's been really helpful for me to set more boundaries and ask for what I need and when I need it. So, like,
Mm,
Mhm.
going into IVF 5 years ago, I would have been a shell of a person because I would have tried to go through it by myself. I wouldn't have told anybody. I wouldn't have talked about it. I would have felt immense amount of shame. I wouldn't have gotten any support from a therapist. Like, I would have done this very differently. And in this moment, I'm like, if you want to be a part of my community, then here's what I need you to do. I need you to show up. I need you to hold space. I need you to let me grieve. I need you to let me feel joy. And if you can't do any of those things, then you're not invited to be in my circle. And I don't think I would have had that audacity maybe 5 years
Yeah.
ago. And so it feels like I am stepping into these spaces with better boundaries for myself because I know myself more. And I also like can say that life is short. Like,
Mm.
Yeah.
it's you just don't know what's gonna happen next. And so like try the best that you can to make life how you want it to look and try to have gratitude for everything along the way. And that's kind of all you can do.
Mm, yeah. We need to hear it, Rosie. I need to hear
Okay,
it.
good.
Thank you. No, it's
What
an
a great
inspiration.
reminder.
It really
No,
is.
I mean,
Okay. Well,
yeah, I think kind of what you said earlier is like I don't feel like I'm at the place where I can say some of these things with conviction yet.
yeah.
I think I I don't I think a lot of people in the infertility community or a lot of listeners who have been on this journey for a long time because it is true like the longer you are on this and I actually like I don't really like the idea of referring to it as a timeline because like you said
Right.
earlier like
Right.
it's something it's a part
Mm,
of my life and that's something that I've
yes.
been trying to focus on this year is realizing that like this is a part of me. It's not going away,
Yeah.
but it's not all of me. It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
something that sometimes it's at the forefront, sometimes it's in the background. But I think for those of us that have come to that realization or have been doing this long enough to
Hmm.
realize like this is something that we carry with us every day. Yeah, just I really think that it's coming to the understanding of like wanting to be able to say these things with conviction of
Mm,
like
Yeah.
yeah.
I am grateful. I am
Yeah.
able to hold space for joy and grief at the same time and I mean that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I am able to step into this appointment or step into this challenge that I'm
Mm,
facing, this brain surgery that I'm having to
Yeah.
face
Yeah.
now, or this, whatever it may be, and to not be completely overwhelmed by it, but to realize, like,
Yeah.
okay, I can just take it one day at a time, like I've been
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. I've been writing a lot, and I write this over and over again when I feel overwhelmed with brain surgery recovery or infertility, but it's just, I write this over and over. I write, at your own pace, on your own
Mm,
time, what's meant for you won't miss you. Just over, at your own pace, on your own time, what's meant for you won't miss you. And like that helps me to just like
yeah.
stay focused. I'm like, okay, this is my life. And
Yeah.
like, I can't compare, I can't compete. I need to like stay
Mm,
focused, insular on me, and bring people in a way that feels like a good boundary for me. But what's meant for me won't miss me. Like, that part really helps
I
me.
love that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna write
Take
that
it if it's
down.
helpful. Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna write that every day.
Good. It helps.
That's a beautiful mantra. I love
Yeah,
that.
thank
It
you.
really does lean into, like, you're doing everything that you can, you're doing the best that you can,
Yeah, yeah,
and what will come for
Mm.
you will be good, you know?
yeah.
And so
Yes.
having that again, that conviction
Yep.
and
It's
belief,
hard. It's
it's
hard,
hard,
but
but we
Mm.
yeah.
need it. We need to be reminded of
Mhm.
it. That's
Mhm.
beautiful, Rosie.
Mhm. Thank you.
Amy and I are so excited for you for
Yes.
2026 and all
Thank
of the
you.
things that are to come. And also just to see how IVF goes for you. We hope
Thank
it's like
you.
a really positive experience.
Thank you.
And I think speaking from my own experience, it was IVF was nice because it
Mhm.
was even though it had its own challenges and its own ups
Yeah.
and downs, it was nice to just like be working with a fertility clinic
Yeah.
and to
Yep.
not to have more answers or just like more
Yes.
options and
Yeah.
solutions. And so
Yeah.
it was a nice break from just like trying and
Yes.
time cycles and
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
I feel like we could have this conversation forever. I
Yeah,
feel like I
yeah,
have
I know.
so
This is fun.
many. I'm really
This is
glad
great.
we got to chat and to hear
Yeah.
more about your story, and would love to have you share with listeners where they can follow Rebloom, follow you,
Yes.
follow your
Yes.
writing,
Yes, all the things.
all the things.
So Rebloom, you can find us at rebloomhealth.com. And we're also on Instagram at Rebloom Health. You can find me on Instagram at Rosie Nest. And then I also have a Substack that I started from the ICU while I was recovering from brain surgery. And it's
Wow.
kind of reframed into, honestly, it's for myself and I share it with my friends, but really just talking about how women grieve, grow, and rest is really the things that I hope we can talk about. And it's Dear Rosie on Substack. So you can find me.
And we can't wait to see how Rebloom Health also expands and grows. And
Yeah, yeah.
we'll keep a close eye on it and would love to
Yes.
hear from you again as you launch it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank
Yeah.
you.
put it in the calendar. We'll
Yes,
come back
yes,
to
will
it.
do.
That's awesome. And anytime if we could like survey the group or whatnot and add more
Oh, yeah,
voices
yeah.
to your
Oh,
research,
yeah.
Oh my
let us
gosh,
Mhm.
know.
yes.
That would be
Yes,
so
we will
Yes,
take you
we'll
up on it.
share it.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And then
Yeah.
I know in your initial email you had shared some of your writing, and would love to get you to write a Substack
Oh,
and
yes.
to share
Yeah.
with our audience as
Oh my
well
gosh,
some of
I'd
your
love that.
writing.
Yes,
So
I count me in. I just have so
amazing.
appreciated the work that you both are doing to help us laugh alongside this infertility journey. I can't tell you the joy that I get from just seeing not only the shared experiences, but also just like the funny moments of this journey, as hard as they can be,
Oh,
and just putting a smile on my face in the mix of just some tough moments. So I appreciate you and the work that you're doing. So thank you for this conversation.
thank
Thanks so
you.
much. That
Yeah.
means a
Thank
lot.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we
So
will talk
fun.
to you all
Okay.
next time.